So welcome everybody to our monthly webinar with one of our expert partners within the portal. This month it's Niamh O'Sullivan, who is the Managing Director and founder of Radiance Property Services, and she's going to talk about how to tender your cleaning contract and give you lots of hints and tips, hopefully along the way, in terms of things to look out for, questions to ask, and how you can best prepare for that change of service provider or for procuring a new one if that ever comes up. So Niamh, over to you. Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon to you all. Thank you so much for joining me on this webinar today. As Hannah just said, my name is Niamh O'Sullivan. I am the MD and founder of Radiance Property Services. We are a boutique facilities management company, and we specialise in cleaning and maintenance solutions primarily. We look after several of the members of this wonderful portal. I've known Hannah for a long time, and you may or may not recognise me from the fantastic Office Management Awards. Radiance sponsored the awards this summer, which was wonderful. So welcome to you all. And today I wanted to really show to you how to run an efficient and successful tender process for appointing your new cleaning contractor, if that's currently on the cards. And I thought I would kick off with a quote from probably the most successful investor and business person of all time, Warren Buffett. And he says, "It is impossible to unsign a contract. So do all your thinking before you sign." And we can only assume that he has signed several contracts throughout his business life. And of course, he's right. And I think it's really important, and a key message today is for you to spend time understanding why you want to enter into a new contract and what you want to see in that contract and what you need to get from your new cleaning provider before you sign on the dotted line. So what are we covering today? So firstly, we'll discuss the current position. Maybe you're like this poor lady here, feeling frustrated. Why are you looking to change? And really, what should you have at your fingertips when you're contemplating this change of contract or change of service provider? And then we'll move to the process of change. So what's relevant here? Issues such as 2P, which you may have heard of before. Should you meet suppliers? How many should you meet? What questions should you ask? And when you see the new contract, what should it look like? What clauses should you be looking out for? And then moving to what we call an optimal outcome. So what's the best result for you and your company? And how should you end the process? Because obviously we had a beginning and we have an end. How should you end it professionally and in the best way for you and your company? So moving to our first topic, your current position. And why are you changing? So potentially you are feeling frustrated, maybe at the service level that you're currently receiving. Potentially you've given feedback to the cleaning team directly, and you haven't seen much improvement. Potentially you have reached out to your account management team, your contact at the HQ. Maybe they haven't really jumped on it quick enough. Maybe you're feeling, ignored, not loved. Or maybe you want to do a scan of the market, maybe a refresh, maybe you've been with your contractor for a long time. Maybe it's, a good exercise to see what else is out there for you. And I think the first key steps are to find your current cleaning contract. That's a good place to start. And if you don't have it because potentially you've inherited this contractor from your predecessor and you can't find it in your records, reach out directly to your cleaning provider. You can always I don't know, maybe some people might feel awkward, but you could just say we're doing, which is true, an audit of your all your current supplier contracts. I mean, you should have them on your record, so it's important to see what it is. And I think once you have it, as this slide says, look at the term, i.e. that's the length of the contract. Are you within the first 12 months, or is it a fixed 12 months contract, or is it what we call an evergreen contract, a rolling contract that just rolls on until either party gives notice? And then moving from the term, so you've checked the length, moving to the notice period. Usually tends to be a month or 3 months notice. That's usually what I see. Over the years, I have seen some quite restrictive contracts where it'll stipulate that you can only terminate on a particular day, or on the anniversary of the contract, and you have to give 3 months after that date, and then you can't give notice for another year or something. Hopefully your contract isn't as restrictive as that. And if you are presented with anything like that, I wouldn't sign it, because that's punitive, and it's not fair on you. So once you've checked the term and the notice period, I think it's very useful to see what's set out in the contract, or maybe in a quote that's annexed to the contract, or the detail of the current cleaning schedule. So it should say how many staff are on site, how many hours are they supposed to be doing every evening or morning whenever your cleaning is carried out, and what hourly rate are they paid. Is it minimum wage? Is it the UK living wage? Or is it, if you're in London, the London living wage? Excuse me. And then once you are armed with these 3 key elements of your cleaning contract, this will be really helpful, be invaluable for you when you start conversations with any new suppliers. And I think what can be quite helpful from your point of view is just to know particularly the notice period, which I've alluded to. Over the past few years, I've attended meetings with potential clients. We've had a great rapport, we've provided a quote, and it feels like we're almost ready to start. And we'll have said, oh, what's the notice period of your current cleaning company? Oh, I'll find that, it'll be fine, don't worry. And then the office manager checks and they can't give notice for another 6 months. And it's fine from our point of view. I always say no meeting is ever a waste of time with a potential client. But I think sometimes from the office manager's point of view, it can be really frustrating, because in their mind, they've moved on, they're going to have this great new supplier, and actually they have to wait another 6 months. So, that it's that kind of loss of momentum that can be tricky. So it's just useful for you, before you start having meetings, look at your cleaning contract, current one, and that will give you a good timeline as to when you can start, when the best time to start the process is. So that's the current position. And continuing with the current position, so the next question is, why? Why are you looking to change? And from my experience, it's usually, or it can be both, but usually one of 2 reasons. It will be the cleaning standards. So the cleaning team who come to your premises potentially aren't up to scratch. You've complained and they are not changing, the way they're cleaning. Or it can be issues with the management team, that you're happy with the cleaners, but actually, in fact, anytime you're giving messages, you're trying to get hold of the management team, they're not coming back to you. No one tells you if people are going on holiday, who the holiday covers are, all those type of communication issues. If it is the cleaning standards that are an issue, that you would like ideally to change the cleaning staff, you may have heard, or if you've reached out to your current cleaning provider, you might have logged several complaints, and you may have been told by the current cleaning company, if you've given notice or you're about to give notice, Well, you can't get rid of the cleaners. And if so, they are referring to the legislation that's known as 2P. So its long name is the Protection of Employees on Transfer of Undertakings Regulations, which is a bit of a mouthful, but its acronym is 2P, which I've set out for you there. It's EU legislation, and your HR department will be very familiar with it. But put simply, just very simply, it protects the jobs of employees who are affected when their employer company is taken over by another company. So what does this have to do with cleaning contracts, I hear you say? Well, this legislation, these rules, also apply to service providers, so companies like Radiance and other service providers. But just to give you an example of its broad application, so for example, if Vodafone acquired, so if it bought O2, ignoring all the competition issues, if Vodafone bought O2, the O2 employees would automatically become Vodafone employees. So those jobs, the O2 jobs, can't be terminated just because Vodafone has bought O2. Those jobs are protected by these regulations. And then in turn, the same thing applies for service providers. So if you give notice to your cleaning company, let's call them Acme Cleaning Company, and Radiance is lucky enough to win the cleaning contract, the Acme cleaners who are cleaning your office would automatically transfer to Radiance and become Radiance employees. But I want to change the cleaners. I hear you say that was the whole point. And certainly I've had that conversation over the years, particularly with US clients who just cannot get their heads around 2P at all, probably because their labour laws in other states are about that thick. We have a lot more protections over here, and several from the EU. But I always say, look, worry not. In our experience, we always handle 2P, and we usually find the following outcomes. So let's say the first outcome is the existing Acme employees, they just decide not to transfer to Radiance, and they want to stay with Acme, their current company. And that actually, over the years, I found with 2P has happened more often, particularly since Brexit. There are fewer people who are skilled cleaners in this country, and there's lots of work. So Acme will probably say to its staff, look, we can give you, tons more jobs, hours, stick with us. So the transfer doesn't happen. It's automatic, but it is up to the employees who are transferring themselves. They can say no. Second outcome, the Acme employees do transfer to Radiance, and we find that they're really good cleaners, that they just need support, training and supervision that we can supply. And I have to say from experience that several of our best cleaners have come to us via 2P. So it's worked out really well. And then a third outcome would be that the Acme employees are transferred to Radiance, and in consultation with them, we say, look, I think your skills are better used at this site. Maybe they are somebody who works better as a team, or maybe there's someone that works better on their own. So, we find the best outcome for them, having sat down with them and spoken to them and watched how they're cleaning and what's happening. So, in summary, with 2P, yes, it's an issue, but it's always something that, we can figure out in a way that works best for the client, best for the employee, and, hopefully best as well for the company. I hope that's given you a basic outline of 2P and it's made sense. it's a whole seminar topic of itself. So I just wanted to give you a quick headline because it does come up, it is relevant. And, do feel free to ask me any questions, now or at the end. And then, so going back to our process, so you have your current cleaning contract, the notice period, how long you have left in your current contract. You also have information about the cleaning arrangements and the pay rates of your current cleaners. You know why you want to move, and you understand the implications of 2P. So what next? So my advice to you would be to look for and meet between 3 or 4 suppliers. Obviously, look no further than the wonderful office management portal. There are some fabulous suppliers on there. And, of course, ask your office manager contacts as well to find out who they would recommend, what do they think. I'd say it's a very important relationship, and it's key that that you find the right provider with the right fit. And particularly if you're a bigger company who has who the bathrooms are demised to them, that's always quite a big part of the cleaning regime. If you have a daytime housekeeper, you've got somebody working on site with you a lot of the time in the office every day. It's really important to have a strong relationship with this provider because you're often in contact with them. And I would think about questions like do they align with your values? For example, if your company is concerned with paying living wage rates, London living wage, are they accredited with living wage? Thinking about your ESG obligations, the living wage comes into that, but also, eco credentials. Can they, what's, going down to the packaging used on cleaning supplies, the chemicals that are used, all those things. We've helped clients of ours that have had to give little presentations on, what they're doing in the London office vis-a-vis ESG and how cleaning, comes into that. How do they treat their staff? At Radiance, we offer an employee assistance program, EAP, that gives counselling advice for employees on personal problems, debt, legal problems, all of those things. I sometimes forget to talk about, and it's great if at a meeting, a client asks me about those types of issues. And then more to the kind of day-to-day stuff, who will be your day-to-day contact? How will they help you? Will they let you know regarding changes to your cleaning team? If there is sickness or holiday, what cover are you going to have? How much notice are you given? For example, we always make sure that our holiday cover operatives have been trained specifically on client sites, that they've received on-site training maybe the week before. That's really helpful, I think, when it comes to like daytime housekeepers. The worst thing is when your housekeeper, your regular housekeeper goes on holiday, and then the cover person walks in. They've no idea where anything is. They don't know about the office, and they come straight to you on a Monday mid-morning when you're, in the thick of it. So it's really important that training has been received, and that you're thinking of this cleaning provider as, as a partner as much as you need them. And who do you give feedback to? Is there a cleaners book on site? But potentially if cleaners don't speak good enough English or can read good enough English, will they be able to understand your comments? Should you just feed back directly to your account manager? How do they get that to the cleaners on site? Communication is so key to this relationship being successful and sort of ongoing. I would also say I would also ask a contractor for details of two similar clients to to your company and say, can I contact them? And and I always think it's really helpful just to have a quick chat with someone and just say, what do these people do well? What do they not do well? To find out really, will they be a good partner for you? Will they help you on the stuff that's important to you? And also, sorry, I forgot to say, I meant to say, I think a good question to ask as well when you first meet a supplier is obviously when you're showing them the office and working through what you're currently being provided with. What do they think of current arrangements? Is there anything they can improve? Could there be fewer hours? We all know that labour costs are, have really gone up in the past few years. Or maybe more hours are needed. I think it's helpful to, within a quotation, provide a cost for current hours, and maybe as a provider what they would recommend. What works well for them, what they think will work well in your office. I think that's very helpful as well, just to get other ideas. And if 3 or 4 people come, you could have a lot more information there that's useful for you. And then I suppose just moving on, to now potentially you might be looking at this, new providers, contractual terms and conditions. And I think when you're looking at this document, it should be 2 pages maximum, maybe a tiny bit more. It should be very clear for you. It should be clearly written in plain English. If you don't understand any of the clauses, you should, of course, ask. But it should set out key terms, the cost of this contract, the insurance details, so that there should be, public and product liability and employer's liability insurances. They should be referred to. And of course, when you take the new contractor on, you would ask for copies of those documents, but they should be referred to in the contract. Notice period. So there should be notice period stated within the contract. Usually, as I say, it's 1 to 3 months, depending whether you can give notice period within the first 12 months. Is there a probation period? Some people ask for a probation period. You can ask for that. And what the notice period is within the probation period. What is it outside of the probation period? And what about changes like annual price increases? What is the procedure for that change? Will you be, for example, if it's in line with inflation, will you just receive a bigger invoice 1 month, and that's kind of the way it's communicated to you? It was in the contract, you should have realised. Or will you get some notice? Or are the changes to cost based and kind of linked to changes in salary rates, so linked to the living wage increases or the minimum wage, which goes up in April every year? Is that linked to your contract? What about if you're a financial services company or a company that deals with confidential materials? Would you like criminal background checks to be carried out? Should that be in the contract that you would require each cleaning operative who comes to your office to have had some sort of criminal background check? And then moving to decision time, and congratulations after a long, potentially, I think it can feel like a long process if you've met 4 suppliers and gone back and forth and read all the different quotations, read all the different contracts, because as you know, every company is different. You have selected your new provider, and I suppose one plea from me is my little Casper icon says there, please don't ghost. We can cope with the rejection, I promise. And obviously it doesn't happen to us much. No, I'm joking. It's it's really key that we end the process, you know, in the best way possible. And I would just say, once you've made your decision, you've informed the lucky supplier who's won the contract, and then just, you know, a quick email to let the unsuccessful contractors know. You don't necessarily have to say why or give much detail, but just so that that process from their point of view, you know, has an end. And if the contractor does reply and to your email and says, look, we can drop the price, you know, how much do I need it to be? Or, you know, something similar like that. You know, you're not under any obligation to reply again or to get into any back and forth. But, you know, we all know you're very busy people. But I think it's, you know, it's polite to let somebody know, because obviously there've been time spent by everybody putting stuff together, going to meetings. But also, you know, from a business point of view, from your point of view, if you finish the, you know, that process properly and you keep those 2 or 3 suppliers who weren't successful close to hand, you know, you might need them again nearer, you know, in the future than you thought. You know, who knows, in 6 months' time, if you had, for example, a probation period in your contract and the new supplier, just for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out, that you would want to go back to them and say, look, actually, you know, it didn't work out. We'd love to start with you guys, or maybe, I don't know, you need a carpet clean in a hurry and your current provider can't provide it, or window cleaning or one-off clean or something like that. You know, why not keep people kind of close to you? Because if you don't, you might feel awkward then about going back to them. And if you did have to in 6 months' time or whatever, you'll have to start the whole process again with potentially other providers. And as you know, it's long and it's laborious. So yeah, I would just say let them know and keep them close to you. Why not? And then I would just quickly just summarize what we've looked at. So as I said, your current position, think about why you have why you are looking around. You know, what do you want from this process? What's going wrong? What do you need to go right? Have your current contract to hand, and, you know, understand all the elements of it as we discussed. And then, you know, move to the process of change. Once you know what's in place and the notice period, then you can meet your 3 or 4 suppliers. You understand a little bit about 2P, and you know, think about all the key questions that you want to ask, the things you really want from your new suppliers. You know, can these people be a partner to you and really provide you with what you need? And then moving to the end, just looking at that contract, the new contract, being very, you know, carefully read everything, particularly the key terms such as notice, price, insurances. And then when you have made that decision, to let all parties know, and to keep everybody on side and happy, just in case you need those people going forward. And yeah, these are my details. I hope some of what I've said has been helpful. If you have questions or you want me to go over anything, please do not hesitate to reach out and contact me directly. We are going to be sponsoring the afternoon tea this Thursday. In case any of you are going to be at that, at the Claremont of Victoria, it would be lovely to meet you in person. And as I say, happy to talk cleaning contracts, of course. And I'm going to end with another Warren Buffett quote. And he says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And just, you know, to reiterate the point about your service provider giving you some value add, you know, what are they bringing to the party? And, you know, price is obviously important, but what you really want is someone who makes your life easier, who's a partner for you, and can just let you get on with your work, as all the work that you do have to do. The cleaning happens in the background, but that you are, you feel fully supported by really good cleaners on site, and really responsive and really helpful accounts team at the cleaning company's HQ. And yeah, that was kind of what I was going to end with, if that's all right, Hannah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and bang on time as well. Thank you so much, Niamh. Are there any questions at all for me from anybody on? Can chat